The impossible sighting communications officer Maya Chen had seen many strange things in her 5 years aboard the research vessel Stellar Dawn, but nothing had prepared her for what appeared on her console that morning. The soft blue glow of her workstation reflected off her tired eyes as she monitored the routine deep space scanning protocols. The ship was currently positioned at the edge of the Nexus Void, a region of space that had been declared forbidden by the Galactic Council. 2 centuries ago, the void stretched endlessly before them, a dark expanse where stars seemed to die and sensor readings went mad. Official reports called it a natural phenomenon, a place where space itself was unstable. But Maya had always wondered why the Council was so adamant about keeping everyone away from it. The penalties for unauthorized entry were severe enough to make even the most adventurous explorers think twice. She was adjusting the frequency filters on the long-range communication array when the impossible happened. A signal appeared on her screen, faint but unmistakably artificial. Maya blinked hard, rubbing her eyes. Night shifts could play tricks on the mind, especially out here in the darkness between star systems. But when she looked again, the signal was still there, stronger now. Her heart began to race as she analyzed the signature. The pattern was familiar, but it couldn't be what her instruments were telling her. She ran the data through the ship's database 3 times, each result confirming what she didn't want to believe. The signal bore the unmistakable characteristics of human technology that was impossible. Humanity had been extinct for over 200 years. Maya's hands trembled slightly as she enhanced the scanning range, pushing the sensors to their maximum. Reach into the void. What she saw next made her breath catch in her throat. There, drifting in the forbidden darkness, was the silhouette of a massive vessel. The design was ancient but unmistakably human, with the angular hull sections and distinctive engine configurations that she had only seen in historical archives. The ship was enormous, easily 3 times the size of the Stellar Dawn. Its hull bore scars and mortifications that spoke of centuries in the void, but it was clearly intact and, according to her readings, fully powered. Lights glowed along its length, and energy signatures indicated active systems throughout the vessel. Maya stared at the display, her training warring with disbelief. Every piece of data confirmed the same impossible truth. There was a human ship in the Nexus Void, and it was very much alive. She should report this immediately to Captain Zexstar, but something held her back. The implications were staggering. If humans had survived somewhere in the void, it would shatter everything the galaxy believed about their extinction. The official records spoke of a great plague that had swept through human colonies, leaving no survivors. The Council had even erected memorials to commemorate the tragic loss of an entire species. But if that was a lie, what else had the Council hidden from the galaxy? Maya's contemplation was interrupted by a new development. The human vessel was changing course, turning toward their position. Her blood ran cold as she realized it had detected them. The ship's massive bulk moved with surprising grace, its engines flaring to life with a brilliance that cut through the darkness of the void. She activated the ship's internal communication system with shaking fingers. Captain Zexstar, 2 communications. Priority alert. The response came quickly, the captain's distinctive voice carrying the authority of his species. Zexstar was a Corvani, a race known for their logical minds and steady nerves. If anyone could handle this situation, it would be him. What is it, Chen? We're not scheduled for contact with command for another 8 hours. Sir, you need to see this immediately. I'm transmitting visual data to the bridge now. There was a pause, followed by what Maya could only describe as stunned silence. When Zextar spoke again, his voice carried a tension she had never heard before. Are you certain of these readings, Chen? I've verified them multiple times, sir. The signature is definitely human origin, and the vessel appears to be approaching our position. I'm on my way to communications. Do not, under any circumstances, attempt to make contact with that vessel until I arrive. The channel closed, leaving Maya alone with the impossible sight on her screen. The human ship continued its approach, and she found herself both terrified and fascinated by its presence. How had it survived in the void for so long? Who was aboard it, and why was it showing itself now, after 2 centuries of hiding? Captain Zextar arrived within minutes, his tall frame moving with the characteristic fluid motion of his species. His forearms gestured rapidly as he studied Maya's console, his large eyes taking in every detail of the sensor readings. 2 other bridge officers followed him, Lieutenant Cree, the Nexarian weapons officer, and Science Officer Thorn, a human-looking Valerian whose species had evolved from similar genetic stock as ancient humans. By the eternal void, Thorn whispered, her pale features growing even whiter as she studied the readings. That's definitely human technology, but it's been heavily modified. Some of these energy signatures don't match anything in our databases, Lieutenant. Kree's chitinous exoskeleton clicked nervously. Captain, if there are humans in the void, we need to report this to the Council immediately. The implications for galactic security are exactly why we will proceed with extreme caution. Interrupted. Chen, what's the vessel's current position and heading? Maya checked her readings, her stomach dropping as she saw the new data. Sir, it's maintaining an intercept course. At current speed, it will reach us in approximately 47 minutes. Defensive. Capabilities. Unknown, sir, but based on size and energy output, I'd estimate it significantly outguns us. Zextar's forearms moved in the gesture his species used when deep in thought. Options. We could retreat to the outer system and call for Council reinforcement, Cree suggested. But given our current position, we'd never make it before they intercept us. We could try to communicate, Thorn offered. If there are actually humans aboard that vessel, they might be willing to talk. Or they might blow us out of space, Cree countered. The official records indicate humans were highly aggressive before their extinction. Maya found herself speaking before she realized it. The signal I detected wasn't random. It was directed, almost like they were trying to get our attention. If they wanted to destroy us, they could have done so before revealing themselves. Zextar considered this for a moment. Chen, can you establish a communication channel with the vessel? I can try, sir, but I'll need to boost our transmitter to penetrate the void's interference. Do it. Maya's fingers flew over her console, adjusting frequencies and power levels. The void's strange properties made communication difficult, but not impossible. After several minutes of fine-tuning, she managed to establish a clear channel. Unknown vessel, this is Communications Officer Maya Chen of the Galactic Research. Vessel Stellar Dawn. Please identify yourself and state your intentions. For a long moment, there was only static. Then, cutting through the interference like a blade, came a voice that made everyone on the bridge freeze. It was unmistakably human, speaking in the ancient tongue that Maya recognized from her historical linguistics training. Stellar Dawn, this is Captain Sarah Martinez of the human vessel Prometheus Rising. We've been waiting for someone like you for a very long time. The bridge fell silent, except for the quiet hum of ship's systems. Maya stared at her console in amazement. Not only was there a human ship in the void, but it was actively communicating with them. The voice had been warm, friendly even, nothing like the aggressive species the historical records described. "Captain Martinez," Zextar said, stepping closer to Maya's station. "I am Captain Zextar of the Stellar Dawn. According to our records, humanity has been extinct for over 2 centuries. How is this possible?" A soft laugh came through the speakers, carrying a note of bitter amusement. "Extinct? Is that what they told you? Captain, humanity is very much alive. We've been surviving in places the Council declared impossible to inhabit. The Nexus Void has been our home for 200 years. But the plague," Thorn began. "There was no plague," the human captain interrupted. "There was systematic extermination. The Council decided humanity was too dangerous, too unpredictable, to be allowed to exist alongside the other galactic species. So they eliminated us, then created a cover story about disease to explain our disappearance." The words hit the bridge crew like a physical blow. Maya felt her world shifting as the implications sank in. Everything they had been taught about human extinction was a lie. The memorial services, the historical commemorations, the solemn speeches about the tragedy of losing an entire species, all of it had been an elaborate deception. "That's impossible," Kree protested. "The Council would never." "The Council did what they always do when faced with something they can't control," Captain Martinez said. "They eliminated the problem, but they didn't eliminate all of us. Some escaped, found refuge in places like the Void, and we've been building ever since." "Building what?" Zextar asked. "A future, a chance to return. A way to show the galaxy what they lost when they let fear drive them to genocide." Maya stared at the approaching vessel on her screen, understanding dawning in her mind. This wasn't just a chance encounter. The humans had revealed themselves for a reason. "Why show yourself now?" she asked. "Why break 2 centuries of hiding?" "Because it's time," Captain Martinez replied. "Time for the truth to come out. Time for the galaxy to learn what really happened to humanity. And time to decide whether they want to make amends or continue living the lie." The Prometheus Rising continued its approach, its massive bulk growing larger on the view screen. Maya could now make out details of its construction, the way human engineering had been adapted and improved during their centuries in exile. It was beautiful and terrible, a testament to human resilience and ingenuity. Captain Zextar Martinez continued, "We know you're a research vessel. We've been monitoring galactic communications for decades. We know you're scientists, explorers, seekers of truth. That's why we chose to reveal ourselves to you first." "What do you want from us?" Zextar asked carefully. "Help us tell our story. Help us return to a galaxy that thinks we're dead. Help us reclaim our place among the stars." Maya looked around the bridge, seeing her own confusion and fear reflected in her crewmates' faces. They were being asked to choose between everything they had been taught and a truth that could shake the foundations of galactic society. But as she watched the human ship approach, she realized the choice had already been made for them. The moment that signal appeared on her console, their old reality had ended. Now they had to decide what to do with the new one. "We need to report this to the Council," Kree insisted, but his voice lacked conviction. "The same council that apparently committed genocide?" Thorn asked quietly. The bridge fell silent again as the weight of their situation settled over them. They were witnesses to the return of a species thought extinct, bearers of a truth that could reshape the galaxy. Whatever they decided in the next few moments would determine not just their own fate, but potentially the future of human-alien relations. Maya looked at Captain Zexstar, seeing the struggle playing out across his alien features. As a Corvani, he was bound by duty to report to the Council, but as a scientist and explorer, he was driven to uncover truth wherever it led. The Prometheus Rising was less than 20 minutes away now, close enough for detailed scans to reveal the extent of its modifications and improvements. This wasn't just a survivor of the old human fleet. This was something new, something that had grown and evolved during its time in exile. Maya realized she was holding her breath, waiting for Captain Zexstar's decision. Whatever he chose would determine whether this moment marked the beginning of humanity's return or the end of their hopes for reconciliation with the galaxy that had abandoned them. The future hung in balance, suspended between truth and lies, between fear and hope, between the mistakes of the past and the possibilities of tomorrow. Truth in the void. Captain Zexstar's decision came with the weight of centuries behind it. His forearms moved in the traditional Corvani gesture of acceptance as he looked at Maya's console one final time. Open a secure channel to the Prometheus Rising. We will hear their full story before making any reports to the Council. Maya felt relief flood through her as she established the connection. On the main view screen, the human vessel had grown to dominate their view, its scarred hull telling stories of survival against impossible odds. Running lights traced patterns along its length, creating a constellation of hope in the darkness of the void. Captain Martinez Zexstar said, "We're prepared to listen, but understand that what you tell us may determine the fate of both our crews." The response came immediately, the human captain's voice carrying a warmth that seemed to cut through the cold of space itself. "Captain, I'm transmitting our full historical records to your ship. What you're about to learn will be difficult to accept, but every word is verified and documented." Data streams began flowing into the Stellar Dawn's computers, terabytes of information that painted a picture far different from anything in the official galactic archives. Maya watched the files populate her screen, her heart sinking with each new revelation. The records showed systematic attacks on human colonies, not by disease, but by combined council fleets. Images of burning worlds, evacuation ships destroyed in space, and desperate messages from human settlements begging for help that never came. The scope of the deception was breathtaking in its cruelty and thoroughness. "Science," Officer Thorne gasped as she reviewed the scientific data. "These readings are authentic. The quantum signatures match historical human technology, and the temporal markers confirm these events occurred exactly when the official records claimed the plague struck." How many survived? Maya found herself asking. Perhaps 50,000. Scattered across a dozen hidden refuges, Captain Martinez replied, "We've spent 2 centuries rebuilding, learning, and preparing for this moment. The Prometheus Rising is just one of 7 vessels we've constructed during our exile." Lieutenant Kree's exoskeleton clicked nervously. 7 ships, Captain. If they have a fleet, we're not here for war." Martinez interrupted gently. "We're here for justice, for truth, for the chance to reclaim our place in a galaxy that was told we no longer existed." The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at the bridge of the human vessel. Captain Martinez was a woman in her 50s, with silver-streaked hair and eyes that held the weight of centuries of exile. Behind her, Maya could see other humans working at stations that blended familiar human designs with technology that seemed decades ahead of current galactic standards. 200 years and the void changes you, Martinez said, noticing their stares. We've had to innovate, adapt, become more than we were. The void that was supposed to be our prison became our laboratory. Maya studied the human bridge, fascinated by the seamless integration of organic and technological systems. Plants grew from specialized alcoves, their roots forming living circuits that seemed to enhance the ship's processing power. Holographic displays showed star charts that included regions Maya had never seen before. Vast networks of hidden human settlements throughout supposedly uninhabitable space. The Council will never accept this, Kree said quietly. If word spreads that they committed genocide, it will tear the galactic government apart. Perhaps it should be torn apart, Thorne replied, her voice filled with disgust as she continued reviewing the records. These documents showed they didn't just target humans. Any species that showed too much independence, too much technological advancement, faced similar fates. Humans were just the most visible example. Captain Martinez nodded gravely. The Council rules through fear, maintaining power by convincing member species that they need protection from dangerous neighbors. They've been doing it for millennia, quietly eliminating any species that threatens their control. Maya felt sick as the implications sank in. Her own people, the Chen, had joined the Council barely a century ago. How many species had been erased from history before then? How many civilizations had been reduced to cautionary tales about the dangers of independence? What do you want from us? Zextar asked again, his voice heavy with the weight of revelation. Help us return, Martinez said simply. Your ship is registered with Council Science Command. If you report our existence, it will be through official channels. The galaxy will have to acknowledge us. They'll claim you're imposters, Kree protested. Actors hired to create instability. Not if we provide proof they can't deny, Martinez replied. She gestured, and new data streams began flowing to the stellar dawn. Genetic records from before the Purge matched to current human populations. Archaeological evidence from destroyed human worlds. Communication logs between Council members discussing the elimination protocols. Everything they thought was buried in classified archives. Maya stared at the evidence flowing across her screen. It was overwhelming, undeniable, and terrifying in its completeness. The humans had spent 2 centuries gathering every piece of proof needed to expose the Council's crimes. There's something else, Martinez continued. We know about the Corvini colony on Theta 7, the one that supposedly fell to raiders 3 decades ago. Captain Zextar went very still, his 4 arms freezing in place. Theta 7 had been his homeworld, destroyed when he was just a young officer. The loss had driven him to join the Council's exploration service, seeking meaning in the vast emptiness of space. That wasn't raiders, was it? Zextar asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Council enforcement ships, Martinez confirmed. Your people had developed quantum communication technology that could have revolutionized galactic society. The Council decided that level of advancement was too dangerous to allow. The bridge of the stellar dawn fell into stunned silence. Maya watched her captain's face transform as he processed the truth about his homeworld's destruction. The pain was visible, but so was something else, a growing anger that seemed to radiate from his core. How do I know you're telling the truth? Zextar asked, though his voice suggested he already believed it. Because you've seen the evidence, Martinez replied. And because deep down, you've always known something wasn't right about the official story. A raiders' attack that left no survivors, no tracers, no demands for ransom or territory. An investigation that was classified before it even began. A memorial service that felt more like a cover-up than a commemoration. Maya watched her captain struggle with the revelation, understanding exactly what he was feeling. Her own people had similar stories, whispered rumors about colonies that had vanished, about promising young species that had simply disappeared from galactic records. She had always assumed they were conspiracy theories, the kind of stories that flourished in the dark corners of space stations and freight routes. Now she realized they had been warnings. "What happens if we help you?" Thorn asked quietly. "What happens to us when the Council learns we've been in contact with you?" "That depends on how much support we can gather before they act," Martinez replied. "We're not just reaching out to you. There are other ships, other crews, who've seen things that don't match the official records. Scientists who found evidence of vanished civilizations. Military officers who've received orders that didn't make sense." She paused, studying their faces on her screen. The Council's power depends on keeping member species isolated, afraid, dependent on their protection. But if enough people learn the truth, if enough voices demand answers, even they can't silence everyone. "This is treason," Kree said, but his voice lacked conviction. His own people, the Nixarians, had stories about the Great Silence, when entire hive cities had gone dark during their early years in the Council. Official records blamed system failures, but the survivors had whispered about ships in the night and friends who simply vanished. "Treason against what?" Maya asked. "A government built on lies and genocide. A system that murders entire species to maintain power." She looked round the bridge, seeing her own determination reflected in her crewmates' faces. "Maybe it's time for a different kind of treason." Captain Martinez smiled, and Maya was struck by how human the expression was. How familiar despite the centuries of separation. "There's something else you should know. We haven't just been hiding in the void. We've been exploring, pushing into regions the Council declared impossible to reach. We've found things, learned things that could change everything." The screen shifted, showing star charts that made Maya's breath catch. Vast networks of habitable worlds, trade routes through previously impassable nebulae, and most shocking of all, evidence of other surviving species that had supposedly been extinct for centuries. "We're not the only survivors," Martinez continued. "The Council's list of extinct species is largely fiction. Most of them are out here in the dark spaces between their territories, building new civilizations and waiting for the chance to return." "By the void," Thorn whispered. "How many?" 47 species that are supposed to be extinct. Hundreds of colonies that were reported destroyed. Millions of people who were written out of history because they refused to submit to Council authority. The implications were staggering. Maya tried to imagine a galaxy where nearly 50 species suddenly returned from the dead, each carrying evidence of Council crimes, each demanding justice for centuries of exile and loss. "What do you need from us?" Zextar asked, and Maya could hear the decision in his voice. "First, confirmation that our message reaches the right people. Your communication logs will prove that we've made contact, that we're real and not some elaborate hoax. Second, we need you to carry our testimony to the Council directly. As a registered research vessel, you have the right to request an emergency session. They'll arrest us the moment we make the request," Kree pointed out. "Perhaps," Martinez agreed, "but they'll have to do it publicly, and that will only prove our point. The Council's first instinct will be to silence the truth, and that behavior will be its own evidence." Maya looked at her console, where humanity's true history continued to unfold in streams of data. 2 centuries of exile, of survival against impossible odds, of building something new from the ashes of what had been destroyed. It was the most human story she could imagine, taking the worst that the universe could throw at them and coming back stronger. "There's a council monitoring station at the edge of this system," she said quietly. "If we transmit this information to them, there's no going back." "There's already no going back," Zexstar replied. "The moment we learned the truth, our old reality ended." He looked around the bridge, meeting each of his crew members' eyes. "We're scientists. Our job is to discover truth and share it with the galaxy. Today, we do our job." He nodded to Maya. "Open a channel to the council station. It's time the galaxy learned what happened to humanity." Maya's fingers moved across her console, establishing the connection that would change everything. As the channel opened, she looked at the Prometheus rising on her screen, thinking about the courage it must have taken to emerge from 2 centuries of hiding for this moment. The human ship had appeared in their forbidden zone, but now Maya understood the truth. The zone had never been forbidden to protect the galaxy from dangerous space phenomena. It had been forbidden to protect the Council from the species they had tried to destroy, the ones who had survived and grown stronger in the darkness. As her transmission began uploading to the Council station, carrying with it the proof of humanity's survival and the evidence of centuries of lies, Maya realized that this was more than just first contact with a lost species. This was the beginning of humanity's return to the galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same.